Imagine a city where the world's greatest minds once met. Astronomers charting the heavens, physicians dissecting the human body, and philosophers debating the nature of existence. That city was Alexandria, and at its heart stood a place unlike any other, the Great Library, the mind of the ancient world. But one day that mind went silent. Scrolls turned to ash, and centuries of wisdom vanished. What exactly was lost, and why does its absence still haunt us today? The story begins in 331 BCE, when Alexander the Great, guided by his teacher Aristotle, founded the city that would bear his name. After Alexander's death, his general Ptolemy I Soter sought to make Alexandria not just a capital, but the intellectual beacon of the Mediterranean. As historian Mostafa El-Abbadi explains, the library was meant to collect all knowledge in existence. Agents were sent across the ancient world to gather every scroll they could find, sometimes even seizing manuscripts from ships in the Alexandrian harbor, copying them, and keeping the originals for the royal shelves. The library became part of the Mausion, the Temple of the Muses, a blend of university, research lab, and monastery of reason. At its height, the library may have contained over 500,000 scrolls, the equivalent of millions of printed pages. But more important than its size was its purpose. It was a living laboratory of ideas. Here, Euclid wrote the elements. Eratosthenes measured the Earth's circumference with astonishing accuracy, and Herophilus pioneered the study of the brain and nervous system, centuries before modern anatomy. The library even housed the translation of the Hebrew Bible into Greek, the Septuagint, symbolizing the union of cultures. According to Rosalie David and Kathleen Kuiper, its daughter library at the Serapeum Temple was open to the public, perhaps the world's first public library. In an age of empires, this was a sanctuary for every civilization's knowledge. The fall of Alexandria's library was not one fire, but a series of tragedies stretched across centuries. The first came in 48 BCE, when Julius Caesar's troops set fire to the harbor, burning warehouses filled with scrolls. Heather Phillips notes that this destroyed part of the collection, but the library survived. The second blow struck in 272 CE, when Emperor Aurelian's army destroyed the Brucheion district, home of the Mausion. A third came in 391 CE, when Christian mobs under Bishop Theophilus razed the Serapeum, erasing what remained of the daughter library. By the time Arab forces under Caliph Umar arrived in 642 CE, the Great Library was already a memory, its manuscripts scattered, decayed, or forgotten. As El-Abbadi observed, its loss was not an explosion, it was a slow fading of memory. When the library disappeared, humanity lost more than paper and ink. It lost continuity. Scholars like Ismail Serageldin describe Alexandria as the bridge between ancient science and the Renaissance. Within its halls, ideas about medicine, astronomy, and mathematics were centuries ahead of their time. Works by Herophilus, Sappho, and unknown thinkers were gone, their discoveries surviving only in fragments quoted by later authors. El-Abbadi called the library's fall a silent catastrophe, the moment when the pen yielded to the sword. Civilization lost an entire ecosystem of thought, one that might have accelerated human progress by centuries. Yet the spirit of Alexandria refused to die. In 2002, Egypt opened the modern Bibliotheca Alexandrina, its circular design symbolizing the rising sun of knowledge. As Monica Berti writes, the ancient library lives on, not in ruins, but in the idea that knowledge must be shared, preserved, and continually renewed. The story of Alexandria reminds us that civilizations fall, but ideas endure. Because every time we open a book, archive a discovery, or teach a child, we rebuild the Library of Alexandria, one page at a time.